welcome to another edition of the Ohio Guys here. I'm Christian Ocampo, and today I'm being joined by Brandon McInnis. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good, sir. Thank you for joining us for this interview.
Oh,
So,
thank you for having me. Thank you
yeah,
for having me.
we're happy to have you. And we have a few questions we'd like to ask you.
Okay.
First of all, what is it like working in the industry today?
It's interesting because I started working in voiceover about 3 years ago, and that was sort of like at the end of sort of an era of how things were done at Funimation. It was right before simuldub started being a big thing. So when I started working with Funimation then, we would get the whole season of a show, and the writers would write a whole season of a show. They would know what was going on ahead of time, and we'd go in and, if you were gone for a week or two, it was no problem because you could just schedule extra time later on and just make it up because there was a final deadline to get all the episodes done. But now with the event of simuldubs, it's really changed the industry in amazing ways. It's actually added a lot of opportunities for Dallas actors because when things were done before simuldubs, they could fly in actors from Los Angeles and they would record a bunch of episodes then and they'd fly back. But now we have to be on call because we're on a broadcast schedule. We do like one episode a week. So if you're gone for a whole week, you gotta kind of move stuff around. You can't really be gone for 2 weeks because then you miss an episode. So it's crazy working in the industry right now. Honestly,
No, I
it's fun
bet.
though.
Yeah, it's those semi dubs, very busy stuff. All right. So during your time in these 3 years, what is your favorite show you have worked on?
Oh my gosh, that's a very difficult question to answer because I have so many. It's really hard to parse it down to one. I can grab like one of my favorites. I think one of my favorites that I've worked on has probably been Gamers. I had a lot of fun with that. That was my first lead role in an anime, and so I felt like I went through a lot with that character, Kate Alomino, and it was really fun to work with the director too, Kristen McGuire. So probably Gamers.
Okay. So first question, the animes you worked on. What was it like working on 91 Days?
Oh, 91 Days. 91 Days was such a ride. Oh my gosh. So 91 Days was interesting because my partner Michael, J. Michael Tatum, wrote that show. So he was there writing the scripts every week, and we lived together, so I knew it was coming and whatnot. And Tyler Walker messaged me because I had never really worked with Tyler before. He was the director on 91 Days, and he said, "Hey, I'm thinking about you for this role." He had seen me in a few minor things up at Funimation and said, "I think you might be the right voice type for this. Can you record an audition and send it to me? I need a Chicago gangster accent on this." I was like, "Oh, okay, sure, let's try this out." And I did, and that was for Corteo. Sweet little Corteo. And it was fun. It was such a hard. I mean, I don't know. It was such a journey because that character Corteo kind of represents the innocence in the show. He's like the only character that's innocent, and his goals are very pure. He wants to go to school and um, have a good life and support the people around him. And he just gets swept up in all this craziness, this mafia stuff, and just horrible things happen to sweet little little Corteo, right? But it was really intense, but also very rewarding as an actor when you work on a character like that. Um, it it's kind of it's very fulfilling. It's just very fulfilling because you can really exercise the acting instrument and go through this journey and sort of experience life through the perspective of this character. And it was cool because I saw Corteo, or I worked on Corteo, and thought to myself, this could have been me. Like, seriously, if I had been alive during Prohibition, I could have seen myself going through all of this. So it was so real, you know.
Such a good show. So much tribute to the Godfather.
Yeah, yeah.
Love it.
I wish there was more anime like that.
Oh,
You
I
know.
wish, yeah, we all do. All right. Since you already mentioned gamers, what was that working on that show?
That was a lot of fun. I was a huge gamer when I was a kid. Like, I was super gamer. I was all things Final Fantasy when I was a kid. And so when I was asked if I would be interested in working on gamers, Christian McGuire asked me. I said, absolutely. Oh my gosh, yes. So I'm reading the manga, the manga, the light novels. I'm going through all of that, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, there are so many like pop culture references being dropped to popular video games, and that was so cool to see in the scripts that Patrick Seitz wrote. Like Patrick Seitz is such an amazing writer. Like, oh my gosh, and he was able to weave all kinds of references in there with the Japanese, because the Japanese commonly will sort of rely on like Japanese puns or things that are existent in the Japanese titles of things that we can't do in English. So Patrick Seitz really had to do some amazing work as a writer to make it work in English, which he did flawlessly and effortlessly. I loved working on his scripts, and I really hope that someday I get to work on the Patrick Seitz script again. The simuldub process has really weeded down the writers currently working on shows, because if you take a look at the writers on the cast lists for all the simuldubs now, you will notice the same 9 writers because they formed an in-house team, which is a little sad in my personal biased opinion. But just because writers like Patrick Seitz and people that are outside of Dallas cannot write, like it's not Funimation's policy, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen, to hire them anymore. At least that's my understanding. I could be wrong, but I do hope to work with a Patrick Seitz script again, because he was able to weave so many things into that. I was playing a game called Rune Factory 4 on the DS at the time. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's basically like a farming sim, like Harvest Moon. And he dropped a Rune Factory 4 reference in the script, and when I saw the line, I flipped out. I was like, oh my gosh, Kristen, he's talking about farming radishes. That's me. I'm farming radishes right now in Rune Factory 4. Look, I've got my DS right here. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I cast you in this. You're such a nerd. Like, it was really funny. So it was fun, and I really adore getting the chance to work with the other voice actors that played the other leads in that show. Just like Cliff was great, and Tia and Marissa, they were all. It was so much fun because we'd go in and we'd hear each other's recordings, you know, and the banter in there, and these characters really came to life. I thought the casting was exquisite in that show, and I'm really glad that Christian McGuire directed it.
Wow, that's an interesting story. Love it. All right, now the show, which has more of a history behind it. What was it like working on Samurai Warriors?
Samurai Warriors, oh my gosh. That was an interesting one, because that was kind of a new type of character for me. Most of the characters I had played up to that point had been, sort of meek and reserved, and trying to think, like Patrick Phelps in Black Butler, he was a very reserved little British shipbuilder. Hello, people would talk over him. And I played another character like Samon and Nambaka, who was really over the top and big, but he wasn't really entitled, I guess. Like that character Hideyori Toyotomi in Samurai Warriors was really like, he's a noble, so he's very articulate. He's soft-spoken. He's kind of entitled in that he has this expectation that people do what he says, but also he's a very poetic character, and that's something that you see in a lot of Japanese literature. And so a lot of Japanese shows that are set during like the Heian era, like sort of like the feudal Japan, where there were like the Japanese court, and there's a lot of poetry going on and a lot of advances being made in the arts. these characters were very eloquent. And so it was very much a challenge for me, because I was very new to it, to sort of convey that sort of elevated, poetic Japanese court speech through this character. You know, he would comment on the flowers and the wind, but then he'd say these things, and you go, why is he saying this? And then you'd realize that everything he just said in a very poetic way was a metaphor for like how he was going to respond in the war that was going on between all these feudal clans, and you stop and go, wow, okay, so he's strategizing, making all these military strategies through a metaphor of like flower petals in the wind. Wow, you know, so it was really fun, and I'm really glad that Tyler had me in to do that, because it let me try something new, and I'm always looking to try something new as an actor.
Yeah, no, that was just getting to new stuff. Speaking of fancy talk, what was it like working on the Legend of the Galactic Heroes?
Legend of the Galactic Heroes. So we're still working on that, right? That's still going, I think, because I was in just last week recording on that. So in Legend of the Galactic Heroes, I play a character named Lutz, and Lutz is a commander under I think it's Reinhard. As the character played by Aaron Dismuke. It's so funny at Funimation when you work there, you hear the voices and you get cast in so many shows that you just refer to the characters by their voice actor. Like, you know, Aaron Dismuke's character, and then, you know, Ian Sinclair's character in this show, just because there's so many characters flying by you. But Lutz is interesting because he's very pretty, which, I mean, there are a lot of really pretty people in anime, right? Like, that's not my first rodeo. But usually all the pretty characters that I've played have, for the most part, been high-voiced. Like, they're noble, they're elevated, or they're young, or something like that. But Lutz is a lower-voiced character, and he's from a noble family, so he has to be articulate and intelligent and come across like that, but be lower in pitch. So that's been interesting and fun. Military shows are always interesting for me because the male characters tend to be very macho in a military sense. It's like they're down to business, and we have orders, and we have to do this and command this and do whatever. But what's fun about that is to find sort of like the chinks in the armor of these really powerful commander characters and let that show just a little bit, because that's what makes them interesting, I think.
Nice. All right, and now there's another show, a big one, that's on Toonami. What was it working on Black Clover?
Black Clover! I adore Black Clover. Oh, it's so much fun. Chris George is such a fun director and such a wonderful director. I have had such a marvelous time working with him, and because of the simuldub schedule and how crazy it is, sometimes I will come in at night to record because there just aren't enough hours in the day for the day directors like Chris George to record everyone. So I've come in a lot at night because my schedule allows me to do that. And during those times when I come in, I work with the assistant director, Anthony Bowling. And Anthony Bowling is also a marvelous director. He is an actor's director. And just both of them are amazing directors. But they have been so instrumental in helping me find the character of Finral. When I started working on that character, Chris George really finessed the voice. And he was like, we gotta find your inner douchebag, Brandon, because Finral he's a noble, and he's the oldest in the family, oldest in his noble family, and he's not, like, his younger brother is much better than him at everything, pretty much. And so at one point, his dad comes to him and says, oh, by the way, you're no longer the heir. Like, you're no longer the heir of the family, you're not going to get anything, you're not whatever. And instead of getting mad or getting angry, he's happy. He goes, oh, awesome, cool. Now I don't have to worry about anything. I can just have fun. And, like, his goals in life were just to, like, hit on a bunch of ladies and have fun. And it was funny because Chris George really helped me finesse that, like, hitting on the ladies' voice because he's the lady killer Finral. It's been so much fun. I've also really enjoyed working with Chris Sabat because Chris Sabat plays Yami, who's the head of the Black Bulls in Black Clover, and orders everyone around is very gruff in a way that only Chris Sabat can be gruff. And it's been so much fun to play off of him in that show because when Finral's talking to ladies, he's got this cool macho voice when he's talking to his cohorts in the Black Bulls. He's got another voice that's kind of more even keel. And then when he talks to Yami, he gets kind of nervous and like, okay, fine, sure, whatever. What are we doing, really, sir? And it's been so much fun. I got the chance to do a behind the scenes on camera thing with Chris Sabat, like behind the episode. If you look that up on Funimation now, and we answered fans' questions from Twitter and Facebook, and that was fun too. So I've had a wonderful time working on Black Clover. It's also been really cool in sort of like a very self-serving way to see your work on Cartoon Network. Like, it's really surreal. I don't even know how to convey how strange it is to have recorded something at Funimation, and in your head you think like, oh, this is just work. You just go in, you record it, you're an actor, and that's it. It goes up on Funimation now. It'll be turned into a DVD someday. That's cool, whatever. But then to see it on national television, I guess international television too, because Cartoon Network is international to some countries, is very strange. You sit there and you go, that's me on TV. Wow. So it's been really fun, and I've been really grateful for the opportunity.
I'm glad you've been enjoying this.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, now it's time to our funny question we always like to ask. If you could be any character you have played in real life, who will you be? And you can mix and match.
Oh, mix and match. Oh, let's see. I would probably say, I think, I'm not gonna lie, being Finral from Black Clover in real life would be really cool and really useful. I mean, the spatial magic thing of like opening portals to anywhere that you've been ever. I mean, think of how useful that is. Think of how easy it would be to move. Like, if you have to move into another apartment or something, you just open a portal, throw all your stuff through the portal, done. That'd be pretty cool. The other one is Kaito from Cardcaptor Sakura, which we just wrapped recently. But I think it'd be fun to be him just because he knows a lot about tea, and I like tea, and he's a very powerful wizard, so I'm sure he could do all kinds of interesting things. So that would be kind of cool. Let me think if there's anyone else. There's Horatio Kojas from Knights and Magic from a few seasons ago. He's an engineer, and he builds these, like, huge mechs and stuff, and, like, airships, and that'd be kind of cool to be him, too. So, a few different ones there, right?
Yeah. Some good choices. So, is there anything else coming out that you can talk about, or anything else you want to plug in at this time?
I just had a video game come out called, it's a Koei Tecmo game, and it's called Nobunaga's Ambition. Apparently it's a very long-running series of games that's been going since like the early 90s, apparently. And so I play a character in that, and that was fun. I also play Frodo Baggins in Lord of the Rings Online, like the MMO. So if there are any Lord of the Rings fans that play MMO games online, I'm in that. Black Clover, I mean, that's still airing. We're still on the first season because it's 52 episodes. It's a massive undertaking. So, yeah, I'd like to plug that, and what else? 91 Days is really good. I highly recommend that show to people. And Cardcaptor Sakura, Clear Card. If you like the original, you will absolutely like the second season, like the new season, Clear Card, that we just finished recording. It's a good show, and as a sequel, especially so many years later, it really preserves the spirit of the original. Like, there are so many like second seasons that come out years later that they're trying to reboot that just never really like get to the level of how good the original was. And I think that Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card really like meets that expectation as like a remake. It's not really a remake because it's a sequel, but as a sequel. Yeah.
All right. Now we come down to our last question. So, any Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any other social media for the fans to contact you?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And this is a great question because it reminded me of something I forgot to talk about. Because it is social media. My let's see, Instagram is all of my social media handles are the same across all platforms. It's BRANMCI, like Brand Mickey. So Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter are all the same handles, and YouTube. So recently, I started getting into song covers, and been posting those on YouTube. Michael and I, J. Michael Tatum, and I collaborated to do an English cover of the opening for Steins Gate Zero, called Fatima, and it's been doing very well. It's up on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's on YouTube. He wrote an original piano part to play with it that wasn't in the original Japanese version, so we covered that and got a license for that, and that's up on YouTube right now. And I've got the ending theme coming out in about 2 weeks on there. So if anyone uses YouTube, follow me on YouTube, BRANMCI, Brandon McInnis. You can just search it too, and it'll come up. And yeah, there are a lot more song covers coming because I speak Japanese. I lived in Japan working as a translator for over a year in Tokyo. I was the only non-Japanese employee at a company of 150 Japanese people. I lived in Akihabara, which is like,
Nice.
like otaku capital of the world, and I walked to work. The office was in Akihabara too, so I would like dodge maids going to work. They'd be like, "Please come to our maid cafe." I'd be like, "No, I'm going to work right now." It was fun. So I'm kind of using my Japanese skills now to do original translations of songs and doing covers of that. So check it out.
Yeah, please, anyone here on the Ohio Guys, if you guys subscribe to us, please subscribe to Brandon's YouTube channel.
Thank you so much.
We will all appreciate if you guys did. All right, well, thank you, sir, for this interview. We appreciate having you on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. And thank you all for tuning in this another edition of the Ohio Guys here. Thank you all. Be signing off now. I'm Christian.
And I'm Brandon.
And we all see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.